The paper Season 1 can't live up to The Office, but it certainly has its merits. The Office holds a special place in my heart, so I was both trepidatious and excited about a spin-off. Michael Scott's departure saw a decline in quality, but The Office's ending was overly satisfying. Now we have The Office's revival story in the form of the paper. I preferred the US version of The Office to the UK version. Starring Domhnall Gleeson as Ned Sampson, the new editor-in-chief of the Toledo Truth Teller, the spin-off focuses on his attempts to revive a dwindling industry with a crew of inexperienced journalists. After watching all 10 episodes, while not on the same level as The Office, I enjoyed the paper. The paper Season 1 doesn't try to copy The Office's story. Sabrina Impaxiator as Esmeralda grabbing Ramona Young as Nicole by the cheeks in the paper. Aaron Epstein, a copyright symbol peacock, a courtesy Everett collection. One of the immediately noticeable and appreciated elements of the paper is that it's not a copy of The Office. The latter often focused more intently on the everyday hijinks, lives, and relationships of the characters at Dunder Mifflin, with the actual work they conduct coming second. The paper, by being somewhat of an underdog story, changes this to an extent. Ned Sampson's dedication to bringing back the printing press places a lot of the journalistic stories at the center. Of course, it explores its characters and their interpersonal dynamics along the way, but with much more focus on the actual work. This proved that original Office creator Greg Daniels was not coming back to do the same thing again. Gleeson Sampson is emblematic of this, as he is a very different central character from Steve Carell's Michael Scott. Sampson is less problematic, less bumbling, and much more driven than Michael was at the beginning of The Office. This provides the series with that aforementioned feel of being an underdog story, something I always enjoy. Overall, the paper succeeded in setting itself apart from The Office, if not wholly. The paper's cast and characters are enjoyable, despite not being the focus. The paper's cast in a meeting. What makes The Office as good as it both was and still is today is its ensemble. The Office would not have been half as successful if its colorful cast of varied characters had not landed. The paper continues this, though not to the same extent. The paper's characters are all enjoyable in their own right, and some of their dynamics together are great. However, the show does not put as much focus on them as The Office did its employees, primarily due to the earlier point that the work they conduct takes more of a central role. This does not stop several from standing out, however. Chelsea Fry's Mayor Pretty is great throughout, having her own fun stories and dynamics, especially with Sampson, while serving several Jim Halpert-like looks at the camera to good effect. Sabrina Impaxiator's Esmeralda Grande is annoying at first, but intentionally so, allowing her character to be a memorable one. Beyond that, the paper does not yet reach The Office's heights regarding ensemble. I will state that the potential is there for these characters to reach those heights, and maybe it is nostalgia speaking when I say I enjoy The Office's characters more. The best praise I can give those of the paper, though, is that I want to see more of them. The paper sometimes suffers from The Office comparisons, but they don't define the spin-off. Michael Scott staring directly at the camera in The Office. Despite doing what it can to set itself apart from The Office, the paper can sometimes struggle to overcome comparisons. The humor does not land as consistently in the latter as it does in the former, for instance. On a broader level, though, the paper has the unfavorable task of being a mockumentary after The Office became so synonymous with that genre on TV. Without similarities to The Office, the paper would simply have been dubbed a copy. This explains the connections to the original show, such as Oscar Nunez's return as Oscar Martinez. It is great to see Oscar again and the references he has to The Office, but one could argue that the paper did not need these references. As alluded to, the paper succeeds at setting itself apart from its predecessor when it actually tries to do so. For example, the show has genuinely intriguing commentary on the state of printed journalism and draws a lot of humor from how the news world has changed in the digital era.